Hello, listeners, wherever you are. I thank you for joining me on this edition of my Liberation Gospel. My name is Ukachukwu Okorie are my names. I thank you and I bless you in the name of the Lord for joining me in this sharing of my treatise. I said, why are Yorubas afraid of Biafra? I'm not here. My treatise is not in any way to talk down on the Yoruba nation, but I want to point out salient facts that have been laid bare and that are ongoing, and things that need to be done for the sake of truth and for the cause of humanity. First of all, I want to talk briefly on the highlight of what the independent people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB leader, what he has been saying, and the last video he did, it showed a lot of things, although many of us do know what has been happening, but it looks as if we have problems believing the truth, knowing fully well that truth it cannot be hidden. It's like pregnancy, as I've always said, when it protrudes, nobody can stop it from the view of the sight. We saw what Facebook has been doing a long time. They've been doing that, especially on the issue of Biafra, and not only that, in a man's quest for liberty and freedom, we've been seeing groups trying to gag man from airing his opinion as long as liberty is concerned. I've been a victim of that. You have been a victim of that in many ways. But in this case, I want us to look at why are Yorubas afraid of Biafra. First of all, I want to look briefly on Nnamdi Kanu as a person from a distance. He's been leading this IPOB for some time. Many of us had issues with his style and so forth when he started, but many of us too have looked closely on what he's been saying, his message. Like I do ask people, sometimes you may look beyond the messenger and listen to the message. He has deposited a lot of points. Most of these points, if you look or think about it critically, it's up to you to judge. And they say conscience is an open wound. Only truth can heal it. The subject matter is Nigeria. Nigeria, we've known Nigeria since we were born. The history of the country. Many of you that are listening to me have seen the direction of the country since you started using your brains as a human. I mean, understanding developments. And we've seen the direction the country is moving. It is up to us to say the truth, whether the country is moving in the right direction or the country is not. But first of all, Nnamdi Kanu's message is very clear. The highlights of his message is what we've been witnessing in that country. Bad administration. I mean, the way we are following him at the moment, we consider him as our leader. Why do we do that? it's because he's been constant in telling the truth. Whatever happens, you don't need to tell Biafrans or people who follow him why they do that, because they see reasons. They see reasons in the sense that Nigeria is a failed country, in as much as it's called African giant. We've seen the direction of Nigeria. Nigeria has not been moving positively in a good direction. There's no blueprint to develop the country. The leadership has been doing bad, and the conspiracy, the political conspiracy, the economic conspiracy against people is deep. Hence, a new generation has risen, and they want to put that to an end, whatever the cost, in as much as we depend on the direction of our God in heaven, because we believe in God so much, despite the fact that many of us are sinners, but we have immense confidence in the God we serve. First, Nnamdi Kanu, we've been seeing what is happening. He's been bringing up salient points. Have we looked at those points he's brought up? He's made assertion repeatedly that President Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari that we know, died in the year 2017, and that the Nigerian mainstream media should investigate on that. Have they been able to do that? We've seen certain things that used to happen in Nigeria, especially within the corridors of power, how the presidency run things. We know about the press fair, it's a monthly function that former presidents used to do. Even at the time when Buhari started on, he did that. At the time, it stopped. Press briefing whereby journalists ask questions, and why did it stop? And we've seen the direction of the corridors of power. The country is being run as if it's a secret society, that we can't have access to our president. He cannot address us the way we want. He cannot even talk. We are used to seeing Nigerian president visiting states, spending like 2 days, 3 days. It's a walking tour. Along the way, he commissions projects, parleys with the governors, parleys with the citizenry. Those things, it doesn't happen at the moment. And Nigerians are cowed down not to ask questions. When you ask questions, you are in trouble. It's the system that Nigeria is being run at the moment is worse than a military system. When we say draconian, it's we often refer military regimes as draconian regime, but during the military times, it didn't happen like this, because military presidents or military heads of state still travel, had walking tours to various states, commissioning projects and doing things. But it doesn't happen now, and the situation is worse. And as such, this young man, Nnamdi Kanu, has been pointing this out with facts and figures. And some of you, I know, who used to criticize him before, have come to understand his direction and what he's been saying, and there are proof to most of his allegations. So why are we not looking at that? Why he keep talking about the Yoruba media? I will come to that in this my brief talk, because most of the mainstream media houses in Nigeria are peopled by the Yorubas. Something happened to That's effect. Maybe I will point to that while I'm doing my talk. So it is important for us to listen to the messages of Nnamdi Kanu. I think if he's not saying the truth, people wouldn't be listening to him, no matter his style. But we don't. If you're a truthful person, you wouldn't be worried about his style, because the style that is being used to rule Nigeria, I wouldn't say lead Nigeria, is worse than draconian. It's a monstrous style. I saw what happened today in a video that is being shared on WhatsApp. Some Nigerians who are being burnt, jungle justice. They said I didn't know what they did, but it was horrible. I couldn't watch it to the end. At the end of the day, they were burnt. They must have stolen all. But we have people who are stealing our commonwealth, our resources. We held them, we clap for them, and someone is out there pointing out these things, our billions that have been stolen, giving facts and figures. We are against the person. So it shows that a lot of things are going on secretly, and we don't want the people to have their liberty, the people to know the truth. In the history of man, even there was recently I was watching a documentary on the spread of Christianity and the Bible before the Bible was translated into English. The leaders at that time, even Christian leaders or Catholic leaders, didn't want the Bible to be mass-produced, because there are some books that you will read and it will spur you to action. You begin to ask fundamental questions, and that is why that Radio Biafra, I know the word Biafra to some of you, it's like something else, but like I said, think about the message, look at the message, hear the message, even if you don't like the messenger. But wouldn't you like the messenger when the people leading Nigeria are worse? They are monsters. They are wicked. And by their acts, we've seen what they are made of. So it is good, even if you hate the man Nnamdi Kanu. Millions of us do like what he's doing. We see him as a replica of what we want, as a leader who will stand up rightly, without fear or favor, to champion the issues of our people. That is the typical character of our people. Unfortunately, history has done a lot of things. Our checkered history, as a result of the Civil War, and as a result of the gang up and conspiracy to intimidate our people, to bamboozle us with things that are not right, to make us see all that glitters that are not gold. Many are beginning to change our core values. But unfortunately, we are happy that someone like Nnamdi Kanu is consistently preaching this message and ramming it down into some of the dirty medulla oblongata of our people, because some of our people, the brains need to be cleaned so that they will begin to understand the truth. So it is important for us to think about the message, even if you don't like the messenger, but hear the message. And because the message is truth, it will always reverberate and echo in the farthest distance. So that is why the message is important. What he's saying is important. We are following him. We will follow him. We will fight to make sure that we defend him because he is saying the truth. And as long as you keep saying the truth will always set you free. Now, continuing, I don't really understand why Yorubas are against Biafra. They are really afraid of Biafra. But when I say Yorubas, it is not every Yoruba, because I do have many Yorubas as friends. I've equally clashed with a few who, when I talk about Biafra, it gets on their nerves. I keep asking them, why does it get on your nerve? Why are you angry when the word Biafra is mentioned? We are resuscitating Biafra. We are resuscitating Biafra because Nigeria has failed, because Nigeria has continued to fail, and from every sense of direction, the country is a failure. It doesn't want to succeed, because when something is laid on a wrong footing, when we saw a house that fell, that 8-story building fell in Owerri. I don't want to rush to conclusion, but we know that the structures are not, they're not strong, because if the pillars and the foundation is very strong, a house of such magnitude, it wouldn't fall. And that is what Nigeria is made of. Nigeria was built on false foundation. Even those we call our founding fathers never believed in the country, but it's a country of hypocritical leaders and followers that wouldn't ask fundamental questions, and that is why everybody is rammed together, and we keep wallowing around, we like a sheep without a shepherd. So why are Yorubas afraid of Biafra? Why are the Yoruba media afraid of Biafra? Why are you being deceitful when it comes to dealing with Biafrans, particularly the Igbos? What is wrong with you? Why are you worried? The media, we've seen what is happening in Nigeria, the continuous gang up and the political conspiracy to stop particularly the Igbos from reaching a particular point, from even having access to the presidency. And like my people will always say, when you hold down a child on the ground, you cannot have your freedom unless the child gets up. It is important to know that Nigerians will have their total freedom any day Biafra goes. Then you see the country have total freedom. The people of the country will have freedom. Those who want to continue being in Nigeria, but we know that it will not exist, because the Biafrans, particularly the Igbos, are the bridge holding together Nigeria. And you do know that, but you will always deny that. If you think it is false, then why are you worried that Biafrans are championing a breakaway from the country? If you love the Biafrans so much, why are you not open? Why indulging in deceitful manners? Now, I want you to understand that not all Yorubas do involve. There are sound Yorubas. We've seen them. When you deal with some of them individually, you see. But unfortunately, in the course of building up Nigeria, especially in the post-Civil War era, we've seen Yorubas of the Islamic stock being empowered more than Yorubas from the Christian side. And they've used that empowerment and influence to the detriment of the rest of Nigerians. And they've used it to cow down their kith and kin who are not of that same religious inclination. If you can do that research on your own, we know the story of how the Yorubas lost Ilorin, and that has done a lot to the psyche of the Yoruba man. They may not say it, acknowledge it, but we know, we historians and researchers do know that. We've seen that the Fulani have always used them. If you go to Ilorin, you see the Fulanis, the Gambaris, Sulu Gambari and co. The Ibrahim Gambari, you know the family, they are ruling Ilorin, a Yoruba town being ruled by the Fulanis. Why was that? Because of this same deceitful attitude. Sometimes my people will always say, you do not deceive yourself. Because there are deceptive moves you will embark on, which will be extremely dangerous. It will still come back to you. And as such, there are moves you can't run more than your shadow. Just look at, if you're walking on a sunny path, you see your shadows. You can never run more than your shadows. And that is what is happening. Look at the way Nigeria is. In the south, Southerners are paying for the running of the country. We saw what the British did, dividing Nigeria into 3 places. They left the north intact, despite the fact that there are numerous people, many nations in the north. We have the Jukuns, we have the Ibiras, we have the Hausas and the migrant Fulanis. We have the Nupes. Many other Angas, many other tribes, some minorities, some are many. But they put all of them under the control of the Fulanis. And the Fulanis now used their control of the north to negotiate power with the wider Nigeria. Unfortunately, we've seen that in the south, which was and are still more educated than the north, there's bickering. Instead of us to relax, instead of us to sit down and discuss on how we can forge this country together if we sincerely love the country, we saw the bitterness, the problems, starting from Azikiwe and the Awolowo. Yes, these 2 people, I would say they are very selfish. Azikiwe, yes, wanted to rule, but he was on ground first before Awolowo. He made a great impact returning from Ghana, where he was the editor of the newspaper, coming back to Lagos, setting up his own newspaper. But he was clever. He spoke Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. Before Awolowo came into the field, he played, he was at the forefront following Herbert Macaulay. Now, when Herbert Macaulay died, the leadership of the National Youth Movement fell into his hands. And it was from there he mobilized, we should say detribalized at that time, because we saw many of his followers there were Yorubas, T.O.S. Benson them, and Adeniran Ogunsanya and co. formed NCNC. NCNC was a national national party then, before Awolowo came to the stage, formed his action group. And with the action group, we saw what we call in the Nigeria political history the cross-carpeting. Nnamdi Azikiwe was supposed to be the first premier of Western Nigeria, but it didn't happen. Awolowo overnight toppled that. You will easily argue that that is politics, but it is important for us to play politics with a good conscience. And that was the beginning of tribal politics in Nigeria. That was the beginning of tribal politics in Nigeria. And Zik had to come back to the east, and they removed Eyoeta for him to become the premier of Eastern Nigeria. And ever since then, we've seen that bickering, the problems, political issues, and we saw what happened during the Civil War, the betrayal by Awolowo, rushing to take the deputy in the federal council, as in the deputy to go on. We saw how Victor Banjo betrayed the Biafran troops and marched to Ore. Not that Biafra want to annex Lagos, but they just wanted their republic. Look, it is important to know that the Igbo have never had any intention to annex any land. I see a lot of propagandas coming up, a lot of lies, figments of from people's imagination that they want to dominate. Okay, at the end of the day, it was one of the propaganda that was threw up during the war, to mop up support, anti-Igbo support about an impending Igbo domination. Domination, was it a military domination? That you are making effort not to be a beggar. You are making effort to be independent. You are trying to justify the dignity of Africans by recreating what the white man did at the Berlin Conference. I mean, though they never consulted us. The European colonialists sat in Germany, Berlin, and decided to carve a future for Africans. Did they consult us? And we here in Africa trying to do something that is tangible, trying to restore our dignity and our image. Our own brothers are the ones going against that, sabotaging. And we talk about neocolonialism from era of slavery to colonialism, then new colonialism, using ourselves as hindrance to our total liberty and freedom. That is what is happening. That is what the Yorubas are doing. In as much as I'm not here to start heaping blames or accusation against the Yorubas, but it is important for us to tell the truth so that we'll begin to see where things went wrong. I mean, if Nigeria is okay, nobody will be talking about this Republic of Biafra. But we've seen time without number, years, over the years and years, decades going on. The country is directionless. There's no blueprint for industrialization. All the countries that started with Nigeria have all moved on. They are becoming big powers, and still the country is still there begging. Look at South Korea that started with Nigeria. We are talking of even China. China that is now rearing its ugly head, massive hydra-headed head now as a global power. When did China start? Some of you who are involved in political thoughts and who know about global affairs, China rose from the rise of Mao and his clique when they won Kai-shek, the nationalists, with their communist party. That was it. And today, what is it? Along the line, they got involved in reforms, the economic leap, the cultural revolution. Then, along the line, they saw their mistakes and they keep changing. And later, liberalized the economy a little. And we've seen with the population, they have the population, they have the market, they are trying to empower their people. They are now going with massive economic appetite, buying African lands, using a different method to recolonize us. And we are here dragging what? What are we dragging? When we see some of our people who want to make that genuine effort, who want to inspire our people. Because if there's a healthy competition, then we begin to inspire the rest of Africa. Yorubas are very intelligent people, no doubt about it. But how that Nigeria is even worse is because that the Yorubas have failed to understand where the Biafrans are coming from. That we must rescue Africa. It's not about shouting on the pages of newspapers, writing the best theses and letters, speaking the best grammar. It's about walking the talk. All of us have seen the doldrums Nigeria has gotten itself into, the problems we are, the poverty, the penury Nigerians are into. We keep complaining, yet we are hindrances to that genuine march to progress. This is where I said, look, my brothers and sisters of Yorubas talk, we must begin to think, how are we going to restore the dignity of Africans and the black man? Because Nigeria and its people they have a great the rest of the world think great about us, yet. But we've seen that as a country, we can't make it because there are hindrances, clogs in the wheel of progress. The Southern solidarity cannot be there. We've seen that the mutual distrust is deep, despite the fact that we share many things. Many Yorubas will always want to cheat us. Why? They think it's being smart to just cheat us. I have my facts. You yourself know what I'm talking about. You think it's smart to cheat these Igbo people, Omo Igbo. You think you need to cheat him. Why? Look at in Nigeria. The only functional seaport is Lagos. How can the country develop? A country of about 200 million. We do have other ports scattered across the country. Forgetting that if they are put into use, development will... Lagos is jam-packed now because everything is happening there. The government has made it that everybody must come to Lagos, one way or the other. The policies initially was directed at crowding Lagos. That was why the urbanization there was rapid. But these things for the future, is it good? We are now seeing the effect, the consequences of over-concentration of power and macroeconomics in Lagos. There cannot be Southern solidarity. We've seen that. It can happen. So, hence, we're talking of Biafra. Why are you afraid of Biafra? Why are you afraid of Biafra? You are a great people. You can always do things of your... We will always be good neighbors. Sharing, after all, there are intermarriages going on. We have many things in common. But when it comes to economic progress, we have a different blueprint. We think we can make it. Even I pray that the oil dries up so that we can use our initiatives. We've seen in this era of COVID-19, we've seen what is happening, that Nigeria is not going anywhere. We don't have leaders. There's nothing. Everybody's complaining. All the officials, they are complaining. Imagine the health minister, Enahire, pleading with people to donate their buildings to be used as isolation centers. Isn't that laughable? They don't even have equipment. I mean, there's no southern solidarity. We've seen Yoruba states, they prefer traveling abroad, going to Germany to buy buses for their urban, for their intrastate mass transit, instead of patronizing innocent. I mean, the love is not there. So there's no need pretending. So when you criticize people who are genuinely interested in making sure that prosperity flows around, because when it flows around, everybody becomes happy. We cannot be talking about how great we want Nigeria to be when individually we are so bad. I said it earlier on. I know that there's division among the Yorubas. You always be fast to point out, Biafras, Igbos, you people are not together. After all, Delta is not Igbo. After all, Anioma people are not Igbo. After all, you are quick to talk about that, forgetting that the Ijebu man and the Ebo man doesn't agree. And there's a big difference between the Afonja descendants in Ilorin and the rest of Europe. We see that no matter how you hide it, we've seen that they've cowed the rest of the Yorubas down. The Fulanese use them, empower them. They empower the Muslims. Tinubu is a Yoruba Muslim. They empower them, in as much as they still don't trust you as a Yoruba Muslim, because you wouldn't be head of the military, not military, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. What is that man's name? He's been their secretary since I was born. Every time I keep hearing, was it Latif Adebito or something? Whereas every sultan will come and go. Every sultan that comes on is the perpetual head of that Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. And that Adebite is always the secretary. And when I was small, I used to read the newspapers. I will always say, this man, does he ever become, is he not experienced enough to lead that group? But that is it. They see you as their boy. The Fulanis see the Yorubas as their boy, that they will always use the Yorubas. But they don't trust you. They never trust you. Your brothers, your Christian brothers, do know that. But they lack the will to change the Yoruba mentality. Awolowo tried his best in as much as we don't like what he did. He was myopic in his policies, but he still favored Yoruba. But at the end of the day, they made sure that they paid him back. That was what happened. They paid him back in his own coin. And today, they've wrestled power out from those Awoists and given it to their full-time, the ones that go to mosque with them. But your division is not our strength. We are not happy on your division. We are not interested in your division. Instead, we want you to be strong. We want you to reach your peak. We want you to be prosperous. We want you to achieve your God-given goals and talents. Because we know that the Yoruba nation or Dudua nation can be a great nation if you have the right leadership. As long as you are not deceitful, as long as you are not interested in robbing Peter to pay Paul. Biafrans, particularly the Igbos, they are not interested in your division. Your division is not, they don't draw strength from your division at all. And that is what you need to understand. So why are Yorubas afraid of Biafra? What are you hiding? My people say, you cannot be poor and still be a witch. It's a proverb. You cannot be poor and still be a witch. In the sense that, look at Nigeria today. Many Yorubas are suffering. Many of you are suffering. Seriously. Poverty. Go across Yoruba state. You see the sufferings. We still travel across the Atlantic Ocean. Yorubas are in many countries in the UK. We see everything. Why are you running away from the same country that is not treating you fairly? Because some of you are benefiting. They are now intimidating the wider Yoruba population not to seek freedom and their rights. You cannot be poor and still a witch. Do we talk about the policies in the federal government that's geared towards taking away the right of Biafrans, strangulating and squashing us economically? Do we talk about the indigenization decree and policies of 1971 and 72? After the war, all these companies, manufacturing companies, were privatized. You know about indigenization that many African countries embarked on after independence, in which multinational companies were nationalized. They did that after the Civil War, knowing fully well that these Igbos who are always involved in business and industry, don't have the capital to be part of that economic campaign. And these companies were the Leventis, the John Holt, the Lever Brothers. At the end of the day, where are these manufacturing companies that when they employ like, I mean, the employment appetite is vast, that they'll be taking chunk of employees from the labor market. All of them collapsed because you couldn't run them. I'm not even talking about the 20 pounds saga, in which those who were alive after the war, remember that millions died, but those who were alive after the Civil War and who had documents, who could trace their account, was given 20 pounds to take off. We see a lot of things, all these things. There are many other policies geared at strangulating the Biafrans economically. We were born after the war, but we saw the rough times as things. As we grew up, each time I engage, I'll bring up issues, because I've done research, I've written books on Nigerian political history and that of my people. So I did extensive research. If we want to talk about it, you don't want us to talk about it. You say it. Why should you keep talking about it? Among the Biafrans, particularly Igbos, 80 to 90% of families lost loved ones. Our women raped, some taken as trophies. And yet you don't want us to talk about it. Still, you want us to keep being in a situation that we are not regarded in our own father's land. That is why our generation has woken up. We have an unfinished business. And the unfinished business is that we want a Republic of Biafra. If you want to be in Nigeria, stay in Nigeria with the Fulanis. You are not treating us right. You know you are not treating us right. You are afraid of Biafra because you know that the moment we leave that country, that the country will be testless. If at all it will have, when I say testless, if at all there will be a country. But you are dealing with a people who believe in their God, the people who have this knack and desire for success, and nothing can quench it. No matter the gang up, no matter what you do, we can never be stopped on this. A lot of things has been done against us. But it is important that you understand where we are coming from, because it will benefit us and it will benefit you too. Benefit this same liberation. Why are you afraid of Biafra? If you are afraid of Biafra, which means there's something you are hiding. Does it mean that the Yoruba man is lazy? I don't believe so, because I have Yoruba friends who are very good. But I know there are many, especially those in that media. They don't want anything Biafra. When they know that even you are a Biafra conscious person, or that you are Igbo, and that you want the betterment of your people, they have issues with that. Is that how a human being should behave? That is not fair. We've even seen these things taken into Christendom. We talk about churches, the rise of Pentecostalism in Nigeria. We've seen the bulk of the first, let me call it the grade A pastors, come from Yoruba land. We've seen what they're doing. Look at Lettering Assembly. I remember the first time I went to Lagos, I was in Lettering Assembly on Oba Road, Oba Akran, if you know that area well. That was the first time I saw Tunde Bakare, and then I didn't know. It was later when I started growing up, I was seeing what he was doing, exploit how I was talking. But today, these are pastors, but they can't stand on truth. Yet the Bible they preach says that oppression maketh a wise man mad. Have you forgotten? During the Jonathan era, they were campaigning, Save Nigeria's organization. Have you forgotten that Tunde Bakare was chosen by Muhammadu Buhari as a VP presidential aspirant? Where is Tunde Bakare? Is he not seeing what is happening in Nigeria? He's not even making statement. If the man that is being accused that is not Buhari, whether it was the Buhari that he ran election with. I mean, which type of... and when somebody gives a fact and talk fully and requests for an investigative process to carry on, you want the person to be killed. Where are the pastors? Where are all these pastors? The F. Kumuyi them. I mean, Jesus Christ stood for his people. He stood for the masses. He stood for the downtrodden. Where are all these pastors? This is what we need to be asking. Because if you can, when Peter was crucified, but before he was crucified in Rome, he was running. And Jesus Christ, he saw a revelation in Jesus Christ appeared to him. He asked Jesus Christ where he was going. He said he's going back to Rome to be crucified with his people. And that made Peter to turn back and, if you say you are Christ-like, you are preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, you must be as bold as him. Where is Pastor Tunde Bakari? Where are the W.F. Kumuyis? Where are the Enoch Adeboyes? All these big time pastors, they can make a change from their pulpits and tell the government, you are wrong. What you are doing, this was what Jesus Christ did. Jesus Christ went into the temple and chased out, turned the tables where the money changers were doing cutting their sleeves. He said, no, you can't turn my father's house into a den of robbers, money changers. That is what people are suffering. Every day they come to their church and be praying and be fasting and, even the same so-called leaders still come to their church. They won't even, instead of them to tell them, they will offer them front seats. In my book, Nigeria Whips, I lamented how after Obasanjo rigged elections, Adeboye organized a Thanksgiving service for him. From that day, I said, man, this man called Enoch Adeboye, I'm not here to judge anybody, but the Jesus Christ, who is our Savior, will stand against injustice. He will stand against corruption. Will stand against the intimidation and subjugation of his flock. Most of these Yoruba pastors, they can't stand on truth. So, is it a Yoruba thing to be deceitful? I beg to differ. Like I said, we are not interested in your division. That the Muslim Yorubas are being used to intimidate, to drink their kith and kin that are Christians. We don't draw strength from that. We just want to do our own thing. We have confidence that we can always succeed. Because we trust our courage. We trust our industry. We trust our energy. We want to work hard. Some of our people, now we have our own problems. But we know how to. Don't understand our ways. Instead, you want to impose on a people ways that are alien to them. And as such, I enjoy Yoruba Christians. You can't be worshipping with Biafrans, being with Igbos. Yet, you don't find them worthy to enjoy their freedom. You don't want them to be free. You will go to the church singing, Christ is my rock, my refuge, my strong God. is dialogue. When it comes to their freedom, you turn your cheek. You go and follow a Tifunubu. That is being hypocritical. It's mere hypocrisy. And a little discussion with my Yoruba friend, they will tell you, Igbos are not united. Igbos are not united. Are you people united? No, you guys are not united. No, if they ask Igbos to bring a presidential candidate, everybody will, they will always be happy on that. They will tell an Ikwere man, Ikwere is not Igbo. They will say, and Abo is not Igbo. They will be speaking on behalf of. And I will say, oh boy, are you from Ikwere? Do you know? But they will still turn back and go among themselves and be calling that Ikwere man Omo Igbo. No, these things. Why are Yorubas afraid of Biafra? These things, like I said, we don't draw strength from your division. No. Instead, we want progress for everyone. We want progress for the Yoruba nation. Form your Republic of Ududua. We will sign bilateral agreements. We will do many things in common. We will trade among each other. We will empower each other. But we want to have our freedom. We know how to sort our. Don't you have governors? What are your governors doing? After all, they get allocations. That is what they will easily tell you when we complain of marginalization. Who are our governors? Is it the Hope or the Mass? Those fraudsters and criminals that were imposed on us, somebody who took fourth position, will now be brought to be in charge as the governor. Somebody took first to, another person took second and third. Even though all those elections were rigged. Because if we do free and fair elections, most of these people that are masquerading as our so-called leaders will not even smell a victory certificate. Because many of them are dupes. And because they are dupes, they are not going to do anything for us. We understand. Like we say in our place, we know a gentleman who will go to an invited dinner and eat with honor and come back. Even though we are not saints, we love the truth. That's why you see, sometimes you take it as being style or skills. No, lies aren't style or skills. Lie is lie. There's nothing like standing on truth. Many of you who are Christians, we look at the Bible and talk about the Bible, yet we don't want to live by it. We have the best pastors building churches like empires, yet we can't walk our talk. We can't practice what we preach. Why are you afraid of Biafra, Yorubas? Nothing is working in Nigeria. Nothing is working in the country. Common policies, look at the people running the country. You formed a security outfit. Why did you form the security outfit? You formed it to protect. They are coming into your farms, eating up your crops, raping your women, causing anarchy. Is it because you are afraid of them? You want everybody else to follow suit? No. It is not fair. You have intimidated the progressive Yorubas among you. The Ayo Padekunus, them, Adebayo, all those guys, some of them were involved in Nadeko, not the Tinubus who are fraud. Look at Tinubu seized Lagos. How did he make his money? Using area boys everywhere Why did they remove the last governor? They just want to keep sharing money, keep taking money. Where are you packing all this money to? Look at coronavirus has come, and even those who had money in the Western society, they were all handicapped. Imagine every day, hundreds are dying. And you'll be saying, man, this world is meaningless. Is it easy for one person, two people to die? But this one, hundreds. At the time, it was thousands dying. Many of them, if it were to be cash to exchange for life, of course, they had the money. But why can't we love one another and allow one another to express him or herself? Why are you afraid of Biafra? I mean, the Biafrans, they want to go. Nigeria is not accommodating anybody. Nigeria is not interested in their citizens. The people running Nigeria, they don't have a blueprint for development. They are not interested. They just want to bring in their brothers from other West African countries and take over the land. Their ways and our ways are not the same. They are not the same. It can never. You can't mix oil and water. There can never be peace in Nigeria. There's no need deceiving ourselves. There can never be peace in Nigeria. We've tested them. We've seen them since the end of the Civil War up to now. How many years? If Nigeria was supposed to be industrialized, by now Nigeria would have been an industrial nation. We can't even manufacture. The people that are interested in manufacturing, you don't even want to encourage them. We've said it. We've seen it now. They've been saying this. Amadou Bello, you saw him say it's his obsession about the Igbos. The same thing is happening today. The Yorubas have now taken over. Lagos, we're ready to leave Lagos for you. Take Lagos. We'll go and rebuild our bush. You said we should go back to our bush. Let us go there and rebuild our homes. It will not take us 10, 15, 20 years. And when you come back to that place, you'll be surprised. We don't need oil to do these things. Many countries we live in the wider world, they don't even have the kind of resources we do have. They only pay tax and make sure that... what is economics? What is the economy? When we talk about economy, look as if all those... the time we used to read big textbooks, we are living it. It's not a rocket science. It's not rocket science. Building infrastructures, manufacturing, empowering your population. We must invest in our people. We must build infrastructures, working infrastructures, set up mechanisms that will empower our people. The country doesn't empower. We're not empowered in that country. Many of us have issues with Nigeria. Nigeria never helped us. Instead, we've been helping the country. And among the Yorubas, many of you have not been helped by the country. It's just that some that were making the country dry are intimidating the rest of you and using lies, all sorts of lies and propagandas, inciting you to tribalism and hatred against the Igbos when the Igbo man did not do anything against you. Many of you Yoruba men, why do you love to marry Igbo women? You know why. Should I start saying this? Because you know that they will assist you. They will help you to stabilize. They would give you that sense of direction. Well, I'm not talking down Yoruba women, but I know what I'm talking. You do know what I'm talking. There's nothing like being truthful. These things you are doing, it's going to bounce back. It's going to bounce back on you. And when it bounces back, it will be disastrous. Look at in Facebook now, since I know what we've been passing through from Africa World newspaper. They know we are championing the and push the truth out. They have done a lot of things to undermine our groups, removing tens of our pages. Just disappeared. At the time, I was even removed from Facebook. I said, there's no problem. My people say, bare hands cannot cover the moon. Biafrans are stars. They are rising stars. They believe in themselves. They know what they can. Even in the worst circumstances and situation, they will always raise their heads high. Brothers and sisters, we don't have any problem against you, but we want you to be true preachers, true doers of what you preach. Let your pastors who preach every day, let them be truthful. You cannot need Igbos in your churches to build and to pay tithes and to build your churches when you won't even love them from the bottom of your hearts. Many of our people, you take our women, marry them, and you try to turn their minds against their own people. You don't want Nigeria to move forward. Look at the way Nigeria is being run. Is it fair? We are the laughing stock. You come abroad, you still complain about Nigeria. If though your brothers and sisters who are back home, who are doing everything to undermine the progress of the people that are called or define themselves in Nigeria, are you talking to them? Look, these things are wrong. The media that is that your brothers and sisters are working in, do you tell them the truth? Why not stand on the truth? The role of the media is to publish the truth. Yes, I know it's still a vehicle for propaganda, but it will always boomerang when you build any structure on lies. It will always collapse. Christians will always remember this song, that there's nothing like building on a solid foundation. They say, Christ is my rock, my refuge, my stronghold, firm like the sea root that trusts in the land. He who has faith builds without worry, not like the man who built upon sand. I set my house on a solid foundation. Christ is my rock, the root of my solid creation. You say you are a Christian, you're a pastor. You can't preach the truth. Ecclesiastes 7:7 says, operation maketh a wise man mad. People who are oppressed, they are mad about the oppression. And you don't want them to express their God-given rights. Facebook, you see that where they're preaching truth, the guys there are bringing down apostles of truth. They don't want them to air their opinion. Brothers and sisters, it is good to begin to think on the truth, because the truth will always set us free. We want a Republic of Biafra. We don't want a Republic of Biafra to intimidate anybody. We want it so that we can realize our God-given goal. We want it so that you can come in and see how a nation is run. We want it so that we can elevate the status of the black man. We want it to restore the confidence we have in ourselves. We want it so that we can tell the world what we can do. We want it to claim back the wrongs the white man did at the Berlin Conference. We want it in order to restore the dignity of man. Yorubas, stop being afraid of Biafra. Biafra is not your nemesis. Instead, it's going to trigger your super development, because there's one thing I've always enjoyed between the Igbo and Yoruba. That competition, but it has to be a healthy competition. Because when you see a competitor, you will do well. The essence of criticism to a leader is for the leader to perform well. Criticism doesn't mean that I don't see why people are they want to kill their critics. No. Most good leaders, criticisms spur them to perform better. It makes them to do more. Because the Bible that you read, that I believe is the book of liberty, says that the greatest shall be the servant. The greatest shall be the servant. When you are a leader, you must serve. You must serve your people. You must be truthful. You must love your people. You must channel your energy to the service of humanity. And that is why I tell Yorubas, stop being afraid of Biafra. Because we want to serve our people. We want our people to enjoy our God-given resources. God created man and woman and gave them dominion over this earth. We have everything that we are looking for in this earth. The resources are too much. It is overmuch. Look at the way we are insulted across the world. It looks as if even the most stupid Oyibo man thinks that is better than a black man. Because we have done this to ourselves. Look at Nigeria. Nigerian Medical Association told their so-called Buhari, don't bring in the Chinese, and they still brought the same people. Look at universities that scatters everywhere around the country. So does it mean all the doctors that we're training, they are just useless? All these doctors that you will find in hospitals in Western countries, carving a niche for themselves. All the health professionals, nurses, there are too many schools of nurses in Nigeria. So what are these nurses going to do? We have many graduates of health technology, health colleges. Okay, let us forget about Western medicine. What about our own God-given herbal remedy? Many of us still don't take orthodox Western medication. They believe in herbs, and it works. It's because God created this world and beautified it. Chineke kechara ụwa chọọ ya mma. I remember even as kids, there are cuts you have, and use this dongoyaro and just brush it on your hands and use the liquid that comes out. Wounds. And many malaria, many drugs, even coronavirus pandemic that we're suffering. Some Nigerian virologists created a drug. Nobody's looking at them. They just gave a press conference, few of them initially, and up to today. Nigerians are not even asking them, where are these people? Where is that your drug? Let us try. Because we have monsters as leaders. We have people who are not human. We have unpatriotic people. And that is why we want our own Republic of Biafra. So that we'll go and sort ourselves. We'll go and spoil Africa. Africa is looking for leadership. Nigeria has failed Africa. So we should stop talking bullshit If we cannot walk our talk, then needless. Look at Rwanda. How many people are in Rwanda? We say we're a giant of Africa, yet we're a disgrace of a country. And you see people that want to carve out a niche for the continent and for themselves. You are being an obstacle. Are you going to be poor and still be a witch? It is not fair. But anyway, he who is holding the child on the ground is equally holding himself. As long as you are going on being an obstacle to the realization of the Republic of Biafra, it shall never be well with you. It will never be well with you. The repercussion at the right time. But it is important for us to wake up and look inward and begin to say, look, enough is enough. Because this case will be like the Pharaoh when the time comes. A Republic of Oduduwa will be a successful republic, which we will be very happy to have bilateral relationship with. Thank you for listening to me. That is my message. I think a word is enough for the wise. Yorubas, we don't take strength in your downfall or in your division. Rather, we love you, Yoruba friends that I love, but we will always say the truth. Thank you and God bless you.
na college ndị na-enwe nne na nna